Welcome, everyone. Welcome. Wow. If you're just coming from CW Chanter's chat room, woo! Wow. Welcome. Mysterious Forces Live. I appreciate you all being here. Thank you so much. I know that there's other things that you could be doing with your time. You could be watching someone else's channel, but you're not. You're watching this one, and that's why I love you. Thank you for being here. I'm playing the special music tonight. I call that song Mr. Gilmore because it emulates David Gilmour's slide guitar work, which I played on a synthesizer. That's not Fruity Loops, folks. That's me. I played every bit of what you're hearing. Why am I bragging? I don't know why. Thank you so much. This is a special edition of Mysterious Forces Live. I'm going to sing and dance for you a little bit until CW shows up. He knows that I would start on time, and I know that he'll jump in. Nice ending. Thank you all for being here. It's a Sunday night. Here we are in February already. Can you believe it? Valentine's Day is just around the corner. That's sick. But I'm not going to pretend to talk about other things and make small talk. We all know why we're here. We're here because this episode is going to bookend something that started months ago, back in October, if I remember correctly. And this is going to kind of bookend at least this part of the drama that is happening in the UFO community. And I just want to say something before we get into this. And I would have said this with CW here as well. And I say this to my colleagues privately. I personally consider, hold on, I'm looking in my phone so I can jump in the chat room. Here I am. Hello. I'm spelling it out right now. Exclamation point. Boom, Lady Zaga. Oh, I see a bunch of you. 49 of you in here already. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time and patience. I will monitor the live chat as I can. I don't know. I really don't know how to make someone a moderator in here. I would like to, but I'll take a look at that in a minute. Anyway, we all know what's going on. And I'm going to say what I was starting to say. I'll slow down. Deep breath. All that adrenaline from CW's show that just went off the air. That's a lot of adrenaline. But those are two gentlemen that have strong opinions and big personalities, and these things happen. But we'll see. I have shit talked Corey Goode, David Wilcock, and Emery Smith since I started this show, and I continue to kind of shit talk them. And I about flipped out 2 days ago when I saw that Emery Smith liked a tweet that I had written, and I was just like, if you only knew what I had said about you, you wouldn't be liking anything I said. But the reason I shit talk those guys is because I think that they're liars. And I'm not going to mince words. I'm not going to pretend. That's my personal opinion. It's possible, I suppose, that they're not liars, but I personally do not believe them. And I think they damage the ufology community with their bullshit. So that's where I'm at on that. I just want to kind of restate that. But what has happened within the last 72 hours has been amazing. And as I started to say, what I tell my colleagues is this is a tempest in a teapot. And it's important to us, those of us who are the folks in the chat room, the people watching, this issue is important to us because this is our community. And the passion comes from the fact that we all deeply care about the UFO topic. We care about its impact on our society, and we care about the potential or the lack of disclosure. Potential disclosure. Some people hope for it. Some people don't. But anyway, we care very deeply about this. And this is kind of like this is going to be an earthquake in the UFO community. But to the outside world, everyone is still concerned with left-right politics and feast and famine and war and starvation and Kim Kardashian. So, we fool ourselves if we get too overly important about this. But at the same time, we all, just like I said, we care about this topic. we care about this community, and that's where the passion comes from. But we've got to 86 these charlatans. That's all there is to it, folks. We've got to 86 these charlatans. And I hear I hear some feedback. I see CW smiling over there. CW, welcome. Wow. Did you take a few deep breaths, get a drink of water, put your kids to bed,
I don't know which of those I've done and which of those I haven't done. You know what I mean? Let me just do a quick stat. It's like, you know what I mean? Like, you know what? I'll tell you this. Here's the thing. I resist. I've gotten to the point where I resist. Well, we all know what to do. We've seen enough Time Life articles in People magazine to know it's all about mindfulness. You know what I mean? Apparently, it's the decade of mindfulness. So I can taste the water. I'm touching the table. You know what I mean? We're coming back to center. We're coming back to center before we take off for planet Xenu. Oh my gosh, this crazy mixed up world we live in. Natasha, how you doing? Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me, and thank you so much for allowing me to come in a little bit late.
Oh, no, that's okay. I was in the chat room and I saw what was going on. I knew that you were going to need a little bit of space. So I was happy to accommodate you. That is,
I know, right? It's like, feel free to take your time. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I didn't want to rush that. Once, you had tossed out the link, and once you actually got him on there with you, I wasn't about to try to be like a noob and be like, hey, what about mine? It's like, no, we got to let this breathe. We got to give this some oxygen. So I was happy to just kind of let that go. That's cool.
Well, I think that's a credit to you. I mean, people come in all sorts of shapes and sizes, and there's plenty of people who could take far less of a situation and create far much more umbrage and upset about it. So I really do appreciate your understanding and allowing that to happen. For whatever it's worth and for whatever it turns out to be worth as we move forward. But I'm happy now. I'll tell you, Natasha, I love you. This is great because there are certain instances and interactions on YouTube that can be like that kind of charged energy of whether you call it internet blood sports or whether you call it controversy and dissent.
Right.
So and it's nice. I see you got the globe going on. I feel like I might, you know what I mean? I feel like I'm at the I'm either about to have my cards read or talk to Bashar. You know what I mean? It's a good space. It's hard to, I beat CW Chanter. Bashar says that maybe he's going to want to debate. You know what I mean?
Exactly. No.
What did you mean when you told me?
So this is going to sound crazy, and I know that people in the chat room are going to howl at this one, but I didn't catch the beginning of your show because I was getting ready for my show, and I don't know what was said originally that you were responding to. I got way in the middle of like the response and the blowback, but I don't know what was originally said. I didn't get the original nugget.
Oh, sweet Jesus. I mean, basically, I'll give you the thumbnail timeline, and I think leaving it at the thumbnail timeline, I mean, not to say, that it leaves it there or not, just to say all I can tell you is this, is that we know that on Thursday, I had received some documentation regarding what I considered and what I defined as smoking gun evidence, proving that Corey Goode was intimately involved in the doxing campaign and the memeing campaign that struck out, especially against Joe from the Carolinas, but also hit me, also hit dark journalists, hit Jimmy Church at this point, hit a lot of people in the community at this point.
And your father.
Yeah, and my father as well. I mean, that's that was really what the story was. And so we had all kind of, like I said today, people don't know I was talking to Union Rock, and unfortunately an ancillary kind of controversy kind of ended up being generated. Hopefully that's tabled. If people can get along, that's beautiful. If people don't turn out to get along, hey, some people are destined to be friends. Some people are destined to never really see eye to eye on things. And that's okay. We have to accept that about life because you're not going to be everybody's best friend. But bottom line is this, is that documentation came out in the form of screenshots that were provided to me by, people know at this point, Kelly of Explaining Esoterica.
Yes.
So, what ended up happening, ancillary, in an effort really to help the community, but also to protect the data, I felt that it was important in the heat of the moment. And this is important to know is because I think at this point, we need to know and understand that what a lot of people thought was going to happen, what a lot of people were scared of, is not going to happen. It doesn't seem, okay? Because it really seems like the emperor has no clothes. Really, what's going on is behind the scenes. You know, it's like Wizard of Oz. Pay no attention to the man behind the screen. Behind the screen is not 10,000 rabid Corey Goode followers ready to be mobilized and go against anybody. We're talking about a small group of 10 or 12 people who, for whatever reason, ended up engaging in criminal activity. And then
Yes.
even if it wasn't criminal activity, activity that is so far from love and light, so far from freedom and peace and dialogue and communication, that the notion that it's touched or touches anywhere, the notion that interdimensional entities or groups would act this way, you'd say to yourself, hey man, even if they came to you as bluebirds of happiness, you're dealing with some dark mothers if they are standing by while this is happening at ground zero. So the bottom line is this, is that in an effort to protect this documentation and information, I passed it along to third parties, namely in this specific instance, Unirock of Unirock TV, also the Unirock channel on YouTube and Twitter and Periscope.
Okay.
He did 2 nights of coverage. He did a night of coverage right after I did my show that I had no issue with whatsoever. When it came to the second night, for various reasons, I felt as though the information was crucially mishandled on 2 fronts. Number one, not to be selfish or non-selfless about it, I felt as though there was a certain amount of work that had been done, me and him together. Because remember, me passing on this information to him represents the second time that me and Unirock had worked on this issue. If people go to my channel, the day that Joe from the Carolinas got doxxed, I went on my channel, Unirock came on, and together, both of us hashing it out, doing the discovery, looking through the Twitter timeline, putting it together, him doing a lot of the technical work, me exploring and explaining a lot of what was happening to the audience, were able to firmly, and I feel as though substantially, though it was circumstantial evidence, really draw the line to say that there's a doxing group that's been set up that's probably acting under the influence of Corey Goode or the direction of Corey Goode. Some of that, and there's another whistleblower out there that was the first person that whispered in my ear and that said, look, here's the deal. Here's how it works. Maybe one point that person will come out and say, I observe these things at conferences and conventions. I've been close enough to these communities to know that this is what's happening.
I apologize for interrupting, but
sure.
This same source may have contacted me behind the scenes day before yesterday. And this is a person who has changed their social media name and presence. And I'm not going to out them right now. I'm still talking to them, and they may come on the show at some point. And I know that they are waiting to see what happens. So I just want to throw that little teaser out there for the audience. I've been contacted by a first whistleblower myself. And so I'm hoping to bring everyone together at some point. And yes, I will be selfish and I'll bring them on to my show.
Hey, you do you, bro. Listen, hey, you got to make it happen.
Okay. I was just informed that Kelly Farmer is in the chat room. So
hello,
Kelly. I didn't see it because I'm taking your advice, CW, and I'm not looking at the chat room much because I'm really here engaged with you and I'm on the topic. So I'll glance.
Kelly are lucky because you have friends that stick by and watch the chat for you. I'm the guy that's got 15,000 friends, none of which can get it together. Oh my sweet Jesus, I'm so jealous of you guys. I don't know how you do it.
No, you have plenty of friends,
and I'm in there. None of them are locals to help me. There you go.
So go ahead. I'm sorry to interject, but I was contacted by a first whistleblower myself.
Right. Listen, I think we're going to see a lot of that, especially when we're seeing nothing happen. This is turning out to be something. Like I said, I think the greatest way to describe it is the emperor has no clothes. I mean, we kind of had a feeling about this, and look, I'll be straight up with you, Natasha. Dealing with this information and dealing with this documentation, one of the hardest things to do it was my family. My wife was very, very concerned on 2 fronts. Number one, the level of emotional involvement she saw me investing into this community and these activities. Her attitude about it was, dude, you got a lot of things going on. And she would always, and the great thing about having friends in the quote unquote and family in the normal world is that they can shake you by the shoulders and say to you, we are talking about the blue chicken people again, aren't we? Right? You
Right.
know what I mean?
Oh
It all
no,
makes perfect sense. We get our hearts racing, we get excited, we get upset, and then we reach into the real world and try and explain to people that we spent 2.5 hours embroiled in an online controversy regarding an individual with no evidentiary support who says that occasionally, while he's in his mama pajamas, a blue ball comes out of nowhere and takes him to a mysterious world, right? Where the mysterious forces are live and the mysterious forces are chicken. You know what I mean? Come on, and then it's like, true story. I remember once point talking to a mental health professional, and they were asking me what I did for life satisfaction outside of work. And I said, well, I have a YouTube channel that I'm very interested in. So she goes, so started talking about conspiracy theories, and we started talking about, the emotional impact. I go, well, sometimes I can get upset about things and yada yada. And we're going through it, and she's like, let me understand this. And she was, focused it in on so the great controversy is that the evil that needs to be stopped is there's an individual online who believes that he's talking to bluebird people, and they're being bringing to. And do you think this is important? Why? And it's like at that point you're like, disclosure. You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
whatever. So I don't know. Going back to the main thread before it gets lost. This controversy with Unirock had to do with the second night of coverage he did, where I felt, and at this point, I think it's out there. People are going to make their own. People can make their own assessments. The great thing about all this stuff happening on Facebook, YouTube, whatever, is this: the screenshots story tells the story. It's a reminder to us: be mindful of your P's and Q's. Be mindful of what you do and say, because it's all there on cuneiform. It's all there saved for the ages, right? At this point, when the aliens come down, they're going to be able to look at the ones and zeros and put it all together about what happened. So there's that, and it's basically, look, the second night of coverage that Union Rock did, I felt as though there were certain issues with accreditation, and like I said, it comes down to this. The good thing about running through it so many times is it burns down to one sentence. Burns down to one sentence. I'm not the king of the universe. I'm not God. I have my own opinion. I'm going to hold on to my sovereignty. I'll listen to your explanation, and I'll allow for the fact that people come to different opinions. But all things considered, it is what it is. Attempts to resolve the communication can be frustrating, but at the end, you end up with a whole bunch of stuff that you can either let go or you can hold on to and let it bring it down as far down as you want to go. So at this point, I say, whew, to all that stuff and focus on the solid work that I think was done. And, dude, the solid work that was done by Kelly, the solid work that was done, the person that really had the most on the line, wasn't CW Chanter. It was Kelly who came out from explaining esoterica to do what she had to do. And in her story, and in the story of Groovy Bean, Yvonne Palermo, we really see what the issue is. Whether they made the correct assessment or whether they were scared of nothing. People found themselves in a place dealing with a group of people that they got involved with, not because they thought it was going to be scary, but they thought it was going to be freeing and beautiful. And having gotten involved with these quote unquote beautiful people, step after step, found themselves in a situation where they were scared. They felt that their safety was being threatened. They felt that their, life, whatever, to whatever degree, was in jeopardy to some degree, whether it's just, nightmares of doxing and whatever, being trolls or whatever, being harassed or whatever, or whether it's actual fears of physical violence. That's crazy.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that was why it was important to explore this and explain to people that, hey, folks, the guy doesn't get you into the child molester doesn't get the kid into the white van by jumping out with a scary mask. They
Right.
get you with candy. There's a puppy in there. They get you with something good. And there's a life lesson here. And so at the end of the day, as I arrive here with you at 9:35 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and evaluating the hours that went before, there was some stuff, small potatoes. The controversy between me and Unirock at the end of the day, I feel is just something that we can all just let go. At the end of the day, whoever wants to come back and talk smack about this or that or the other thing, hey, that's life on planet Earth. When it all boils down to the important stuff that we can take away from it is what we know and what we've seen and what we see today, which is, hey, I guess the good guys won, but the reality is anything, whenever you're dealing with a win-lose situation, it's always this, the taste of blood is in your mouth. And that copper taste is, I'm not a vampire, so it's not attractive to me or appealing to me. So
Right.
even when you win, it's still bittersweet. It still is what it is.
I predict that there will be some return firing shots. And in terms of credit, I want to give credit on a couple levels. And this is not me just kissing up to you, but I want to give you credit for what you did on your show earlier. I watched you live on the air, stop, you paused, you took a deep breath, you took another deep breath, and you collected yourself. And instead of continuing to escalate the rhetoric with Unirock, you took a couple of breaths, you centered yourself, and then you guys had a very rational conversation. It was still a little bit heated around the edges, but you guys communicated with each other really well. And if there is a friendship or a professional relationship there that can be salvaged, I think you guys will do that. I just want to give you credit for getting in the moment, calming yourself, and then taking that approach instead of blowing it up with more rhetoric.
Right.
So, well, I just think that's good on your part.
Well, I'm kind of like Jesus in that way. You know what I mean? Like, no, I thank you. No, I appreciate.
If you're Jesus, I'm Mary Magdalene.
hey, listen. Hey. If you're Mary Magdalene, we're all fucked, right? There you go.
That's my YouTube clip. Everyone, cut that out and put that out there. That was beautiful. Thank you for that. I love that.
Hey, I got a million of them. Well, how about this? This one's for free. Hey, Natasha, what's this?
I don't know.
Jesus Christ giving the hand job.
You heard it right here on Mysterious Forces Live. That's beautiful. And I also want to follow that up with credit to Kelly Farmer. You kind of touched on it. And I don't want to, I know it's one hell of a segue. But every time that I hear a joke about Jesus giving a hand job, I think about Kelly Farmer. And I don't know why. I don't know what the association is there. But no, for real. I'm just yanking her chain. She's out there. She's probably blushing right now. No, I want to give Kelly props because it's well known. Her and I both attended Jimmy Church's Christmas party in LA on December 26th. And I hung out with Kelly. We took an Uber to the party. We sat at the same table. We drank together that night. We took the Uber back. And we have communicated personally back and forth. I appeared on her show. She appeared on my show. Like, we went through all that since December 26th. And she never once dropped a hint about any of this. There wasn't a moment in the Uber. There was a moment there at the Rainbow while we're drinking alcohol together that she tipped her hand or said anything or let on that any of this stuff was something that she was holding on to. So I just want everyone to know that Kelly Farmer's integrity is intact, because if the roles had been reversed, I'm not so sure I could have been in that social situation and been able to resist the temptation to say, you know what I got? You know what I heard? You know what I saw? Listen to this. I'm not so sure that I would have had the strength of character to not tip my hand. And unfortunately, I want to segue that with the fact that she felt like she had to hold on to this information is motivated by fear. And I want to dissect this for a while. And I know that the people in the chat room really want us to tear this down. And I kind of want to I want to ask a very blunt question and frame it in a blunt way so that we can not mince words and not pretend. Do you think that this is kind of like a new age mafia situation? All of this money with Gaia TV, Corey Goode, David Wilcock, all of this shit that's going on and being stirred up. And doxing is nothing less than intimidation, right? And trying to set someone else up for further damage in the future, hoping that someone else will pick up that baton and use that information and continue to damage the critics.
Sure.
Is it really like that? Is the money so big? Are the egos so big that they're really willing to go down in the dirt like this and act like a mob, literally the mob?
I think what you have to do is you have to separate the players, and I think that what it is that you have a group of people who behave in a way that makes it seem like there's a mob, okay? But there is no mob. Here's the reality. The reality is that everyone was. This is like I said about my. I'll tell you my wife's true anxieties. When we were playing this all out, she was saying things like, but what if they come to the school and try and take our kids, try and kidnap our kids? What if there's a sharpshooter who's going to come try and get me in a parking lot? And I tried to explain to her what at first I suspected and what I think I know now is true. That is the art of the troll, the real dark troll. It's to make you feel and fear, so you end up fearing something that isn't there. There's no there. I used the analogy with Uni during our conversation. Its perfect analogy is the Wizard of Oz. Pay no attention to the man behind the screen, because when you pull back the screen, when the screenshots come out, what we see, and when you hear the stories about these people and their personal interactions and what's going on, you see that the great and powerful Oz that can reach out to you, it's smoke and mirrors, and it's a hologram, and it's a little old man going, whatever you want. You want a heart? You want this? So look, here's the deal. You need to first of all separate out the players. They're, at the end of the day, we're going to end up with X amount of information and testimony from people about their real life experiences. Some of that stuff will turn out to be incorrect or erroneous, and some of it will, be motivated by, trying to cover their own butts or whatever. Here's what I truly believe. I believe that if people were to go to Gaia TV, what they would see there would be a group of communications professionals trying to put together a communications package. I think that the business level, these are business people who have come upon a marketing strategy regarding certain lifestyles that they think are underserved by multimedia, that they could make $1 and a cent in. Whether their decision to go down that path was correct or incorrect, that's what it was. And where it all kind of went for Casey, I think for Gaia TV, and for what it's worth, everyone has people whispering in their ears, people with various amounts of information. My understanding of Gaia TV is that the higher ups at Gaia TV are saying to themselves, whatever happened during calendar year 2015 to 2018 cannot happen again, because we almost lost our shirt. And I think at the end of the day, they don't care about blue chickens. They don't care about Ascension. They don't have those discussions at that level. At the business level, it's about dollars and some cents, subscribers, non-subscribers, hours watched, hours underserved, advertisements placed, advertisements not renewed. Okay? And when they're there, they said, it's all fun and games. Find us a psychic, find us a this, find us a that. But if you think that we're going to get involved in these deep controversies again, I don't think they're going to do it, because there is now heavy legal liability on their path, because it just is what it is. All roads lead to Rome. If anybody feels that they've got a cognizable legal cause of action against any of the players on the scene now, believe you me, if they go to any credible attorney capable of taking that ball to the goalpost, that attorney is going to immediately look at the players on the board, and they're going to say, well, we're definitely going to serve Gaia. We're definitely going to name them as a defendant, because why wouldn't you? Even if it's just to throw it up the flagpole and see who salutes. At the end of the day, I think Gaia wants to go back to being Gaia. They want to have a booth at Contact in the Desert. They don't want to be involved in Contact in the Desert. They want to have a booth at Conscious Life Expo. They don't want to be in, that level. And they certainly don't want, a co-op of people who are going to be moving things and whatever it is. In addition to those players on the field, other players on the field are going to have various amounts of exposure to what they did, what they didn't do, what they knew, what they didn't know, what they saw, what they didn't see, and the actions that they chose to make accordingly. If you keep your eyes closed when something really messed up is going on, that's going to come out, and that raises its own level of culpability. Leaving aside the legal issues, in the field of morals and ethics, we all know that there's situations where you're going to say, and you did nothing.
Correct. A lie of omission. I'm sorry to interrupt you. A lie of omission. That's what it is. It's a lie of omission. Those who stood around or was in that circle, saw this shit going down, heard the strategies, knew what was going on, and did nothing. That is a lie of omission. Yeah, they bear some ethical responsibility, perhaps not legal.
Right.
If they weren't perpetrating this stuff.
And especially if you're dealing with disinformation. It's one thing if you're out here and what do we do here? The business is where I'm writing, pulp fiction, if I'm an author or creative person, or we're making a movie, or we're carpenters. I mean, there's things that, there's going to be moral and ethical questions that come up, but we are talking about something that touches upon spirituality. So I do think that gets into a whole bunch of other things. Once you start looking at it at that level, you know what I mean? It's really hard to explain it as just business. And
don't you think that's what's got everyone's head twisted, is the depth of the hypocrisy between this love and light message and then this just ruthless business, like corporate espionage shit behind the scenes, that it totally mitigates the love and light message. It negates it, because it's talk on the one side and then actions on the other. And let's face it, we all know actions speak louder than words. Look at what these people were doing. Forget what they were saying. Look at what they were doing. That speaks for itself.
Oh, absolutely.
And I'm wondering, and I know I'm not going to name names on this point, but I think we all know who this is, but I know that one of the people that got doxxed, I know that there's some kind of legal investigation going on. I don't know if law enforcement, I don't know directly if law enforcement got involved, but I do know that one of the people that got doxxed had an attorney and had legal advice and were kind of operating within the constraints of that legal advice, and they still are. And I'll bet people know who that is, but I'm not going to say. But I'm wondering seeing what we see now, I'm wondering here at this, let's call it the first 72 hours, what do you think the real life consequences are going to be to Corey Goode and his circle? What do you think is really going to happen? What's going to be the outcome?
I think this is a process that's been going on. When I started talking about, I came out in 2015 with my YouTube channel, and that was right around the time that Corey Goode made the crucial jump from the Project Avalon forum to his own website to working with David Wilcock on Cosmic Disclosure. That began a whole process of his involvement in this community, his placement at various places, the pushing of his message with money behind it, et cetera, et cetera. What I think really started to happen at the tail end of 2018 for a variety of reasons, both business and karma. At the end of the day, we all know that wherever he went, there were stories that came out of those events after him. Him and his business manager, his whole team, had a lot of controversy around them because it seemed as though wherever they went, something was not like the years before. People were saying things like, did I just feel physically intimidated? Was I just made to feel physically intimidated at Contact in the Desert? Did that person just really speak out about me in that way? And all that started happening. I think what ended up happening is that Gaia TV just basically knew, hey, Natasha, if I promise that I'm going to pay you for the cheeseburger today, tomorrow's going to come. And I might be able to tell you, oh man, left the wallet at home. See you tomorrow. And then, oh, it's the weekend. I'll be in the office on Monday. I'll see you then. We'll pay the bill then. Ooh, catching. Eventually, that process is going to lead to either someone walking away from you saying, I'm no longer going to invest in this message, or invest, whether it's time, effort, and energy, or whether it's money, whether it's pecuniary benefits of backing something, whether it's a Patreon donation or a PayPal account or a GoFundMe or renting a house. Eventually, people are going to say, okay, we're going to move. And then also the audience is fickle. They want blue avians today. Well, I felt like always tapping Corey Goode on the shoulder and reminding him, hey, you know what, buddy? Before there was you, there was Alex Collier. And Alex Collier, the last thing we heard about him is that he had a GoFundMe telling people that his ass was falling out from cancer. He's sleeping in a truck. Won't you please give him $1.01 so that he can get from one place to one place and be able to stay at a Holiday Inn, a basic necessity Holiday Inn, while he gets his treatments. And you feel like saying, eventually this all, and before him was Billy Meyer. And Billy, right. Eventually everyone generates things, and people are going to come out of your inner circle, whether it's Billy Meyer's ex-wife and actual son saying, dude, this is all a fraud, or whether it's, whoever comes out and says something about someone else, or showing that, this guy's got a tax record, he's got a criminal record, whatever. The truth always comes out, and the audience is fickle, and they're going to move on. Reptilians yesterday, blue avians today, Archons tomorrow, and maybe we'll go back and hang out, take a dip in the black goo, right?
Right.
Nobody lasts forever in this entertainment business. I don't know.
I don't want to.
Yeah.
No. Finish your thought.
Yeah. I know, because it's weird, because it's hard to explain and describe. I think at the end of the day, where we find ourselves now is the following. I think a lot of people are going to wake up on planet Earth. You can party all night long. You wake up with a headache, and you're going to have to pay the room service bill. And for when it comes to Corey Goode and that whole team of individuals, I think, like many people in the past, they're going to find themselves doing things in secret that they can't explain when it comes to the public. And I don't think a lot of these people just the fact of this is that people are shaking their heads going, you were just simply in a closed Facebook group doing a criminal conspiracy? Forget about whether or not your actions were visible to other people in the room. Read the Facebook terms of service. If Facebook gets a subpoena from a schnook attorney in Newark, New Jersey, Facebook is going to give you up faster than, as fast as they can print those documents out. They're not playing a game with you. They're not going to protect you. You're engaged in criminal activity on Facebook. These people don't know what they did, but they're going to find out what they did. I think a lot of people are going to find themselves with a real comeuppance, and I think a lot of people are going to find themselves at the end of the day sitting at a civil deposition if they're lucky, a criminal trial if they're extremely unlucky, saying to themselves, how the heck did I get here? At this point, right. I thought the Blue Avians or QAnon or Gonzalez was going to show up and portal me out of here. Winston Shroud is in jail. Sean David Morton is in jail. Yeah. Jail. You know what I mean, Natasha? You know what I mean?
Locked up.
Sweet Jesus. You know what I mean? Oh my gosh. And now, even beyond the criminal aspects, I said it on my thing. I said, these people are done in this community. Come on.
Are we gonna see him dropped off the ESETI roster? Are we gonna see cancellations and public appearances that they might have already been contracted to appear in? Because I have it on good authority, and I'm certainly not going to talk about my source, but I have it on good authority that there's a bigger issue, maybe not bigger, but a different big issue going on behind the scenes. And that is the Gaia TV, you heard it here first, maybe, I don't know, has bought the Conscious Life Expo. At least the rights to.
Oh, wow.
Dun, 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 dun.
And then,
and they're
the whole thing. No, there
they're
you go. I was like, what you need to know, Natasha, is that Gaia TV is interested in hanging out at Conscious Life Expo. They're not interested in being involved. Well, but there you go. And that goes to show you. But this is exactly it. We have expectations, we have thoughts, we have theories, we put it together. Sometimes they line up with reality, and sometimes they don't.
Right.
But hey, we're educated. I'm not, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, it's not only that they may not own contact in the desert, but they're certainly using their financial muscle in marketing. I was at Contact last year. That was when I really kind of got the beginnings of this project off the ground. And Gaia TV, it might as well have been the Gaia TV convention, because their advertising was huge. It took up big doorways. They had lots of people that worked for them in shirts everywhere you went. And it was a lot of Gaia TV hosts. George Norrie is there. They called out the big names. And so their influence, whether they're using marketing money, whether they are using their influence in what lecturers and speakers can go to what convention. But look at the absolute conflict of interest that it would be in owning something like Conscious Life Expo. And if they don't say anything about it, but it turns out to be, kind of like this giant Gaia TV advertisement, that's a manipulation. I think the consumer has a right to know who's behind that. And I also...
And
no, go ahead.
Not to cut you off. I apologize. Finish your thought.
No, I just wonder if and we see that Alien Con is popping up in Pasadena and Baltimore, and word on the street was to me that the Baltimore thing sucked for a variety of reasons, but that's what got back to me.
Gone to Cincinnati,
it's Baltimore, right? Yeah, I've lived in Cincinnati. All roads lead to Cincinnati. all roads. That's right. So the History Channel is behind Alien Con. Okay, so look what's emerging. Alien Con on each coast, backed by the History Channel and the Ancient Aliens crew, all those people. Okay, so they get fed into that system. Then you got Conscious Life Expo getting scooped up by Gaia TV. Boom, that becomes just a marketing arm of Gaia Television. Their marketing muscle and their physical presence at Contact in the desert. Okay. And I also know, and if anyone worth their salt is really watching this community, they also know that KGRA is busy working behind the scenes to start up a television arm, and that they're going to go beyond just the audio digital broadcasting that they're doing now, that they're also going to get into video and proper production. So I don't know if I'm talking out of school. I hope no one comes and chops my head off. But see, KGRA wants a piece of that action now too.
Big KGRA, you know what I mean? They're coming.
And I love Race Hobbs. I know Race Hobbs personally, and I love that guy, him and Robin. But that doesn't mean I agree with everything that every host says on there. Obviously not. But I have a genuine affection for Race Hobbs. He's a good man. And so I know that KGRA is sitting back saying we want to be what Gaia TV is doing, but maybe with more integrity or something. Who knows? But everyone wants a piece of this pie, and so now what we're starting to see throughout this field are these moneyed interests, including the Viacom trained executives that are working with Gaia TV or at the helm of Gaia TV behind the scenes, and it's that big corporate money that is now starting to affect this. And I'm wondering if we're in some kind of bubble, like we were in a housing bubble or we were in the economic bubble, and this is going to burst. I wonder if we're going to see, and I have to give credit to my colleague who gave me this. I'm not going to mention him, but this is not my original idea. I just want to say that this bubble is going to burst, and then the result could be that we see a throwback to these smaller regional conventions, smaller local conventions that are much more toned down and less commercial, and perhaps more real and more useful. And after me kind of just vomiting all of that out for you to ponder, I'm wondering what your response is to that.
Well, the first thing is the issue of, look, I mean, people come here not because they think there's some people who come here for pure entertainment. They want the blow up, glow in the dark, gray alien, the bubble balloon. They want the take me to your dealer, crystal bong. They want the various, accoutrement. They want to be entertained by George Tsoukalos and his hair. You know what I mean? They want things a
Right.
little. And there's other people that think they're coming to a scientific expedition, and there's some people that come here and they think that they're talking about spirituality, and it's like spirituality trademark, spirituality TM. A couple of things. I mean, number one, the notion of like, it's like why a lot of people in our community, it's so funny, are absolutely adverse to the notion of organized religion. They have an instinctual reaction to the fact of that it's a dogmatic system and it's involved in so much money, and the world's biggest real estate holder is the Roman Catholic Church, and what that means about the message of Christ and all that stuff. And here we are, people, buying and selling and buying and selling and buying and selling, especially when it comes to these corporate interests. At the end of the day, I tend to agree with you. Your line of reasoning regarding, or that you worked on with your friend or got from a colleague, lines up with something that I've said, which is that this thing that we are now, I feel as though we're seeing a telescoping, a narrowing towards an endpoint for a lot of the things that developed post, leading up to 2012 and post 2012. When we go to the Museum of Natural History, we see a line, a demarcation that says the dinosaurs stopped here, the Great Extinction or whatever. But the fact of the matter is that anyone will tell you for a 1,000 or so years before and 1,000 years or so before, there was a lot going on. It takes a long time. If I shoot a Tyrannosaurus Rex with a bazooka, you know what I mean? It's going to pass away eventually. If the food or the water supply goes down in a certain region, the animals that live there will eventually die off eventually, but it takes a long time for things to play out. I think a lot of these things, when I get the impression that I've always gotten about Gaia TV, is the following: there's a lot of money pushing something, waiting for it to be a success, and I think there's a lot of people that are saying it might be in everybody's best interest to dismantle certain things and go somewhere else. I've always felt as though that this whole thing with Corey Goode and David Wilcox and the prominence of these people in the community, and especially in today's age of internet connectivity, what we're doing right now, I think is the death knell. I think just like punk rock was the death knell of a lot of corporate rock and roll stuff, why are we going to do all this stuff just to get a record deal with Sony, when if we scrap our stuff together, we can come out with a 7-inch that we'll sell 500 copies of internationally and go on tour? Do it yourself, DIY. And I think that eventually people are going to realize why, Natasha, if we want to jump into the live stream, we've got researchers, we've got contactees, we've got experiencers, we've got skeptics, we've got pragmatics, we've got witches, sages, warriors, wizards, right? We've got reincarnated deities, we've got people who think they're God. You don't need to pay anybody for this. And when it comes to, and it's like this, I tell people this: Gaia TV is not Time Warner, right? And the History Channel is a basic cable operation. And remember, when Ancient Aliens only got pushed back onto History when the channel that was History 2, Ancient Aliens started off on the History Channel. Then they got bumped to History 2. History 2 turned into Vice. HBO took over History 2 channel, turned it into Vice. And that's when Ancient Aliens went back to History. Look at the ratings on Ancient Aliens. Dude, if Ancient Aliens was the future, if there was money to be made here, Ancient Aliens wouldn't have gone from the History Channel to History 2. It would have gone from the History Channel to ABC, CBS, or something else. They did a reboot of the X-Files. That wasn't supposed to be one season of the reboot of the X-Files. They introduced us to the two new guys, right? The kind of the Mulder kind of person, the Dana Scully type person, but the girl is now a little bit rough and tumble, and the guy is a little bit more this, that, or the other thing. Where did that go? It's not growing, this scene. It's kind of telescoping towards an end, which is going to be beautiful. The future is not conventions. The future is people getting together for meetups. The future is not Corey Goode telling you this fantastic story. The future is people around whether it's a digital campfire or, God bless and goddess willing, a real life campfire of people gathered around sharing their own hopes and dreams, experiences and mysteries and stories and mythology. This is the end. I mean, where are we going with this? Why would you need this? Corey Goode was pushed. And that's where we see it's like the Wizard of Oz analogy again. And when the money ran out and they stopped pushing him, this amazing blue avian message that was taken over here and taken over there went, and people said, what? No one missed a beat. And let's not forget, we keep on talking about the blue avians because talking about the blue chicken cult is kind of a very romantic, a very easy thing to talk about, a very easy thing to have fun jacking around. The blue avians left years ago. Corey Goode was underneath with the Anshar. Gonzalez is beyond the flat earth and the moon and Antarctica and all this stuff. It was already, and remember, they went away because we turned it into a religion. What? It was just smoke and mirrors. And at the end, now you have David Wilcock and Edge of Wonder, and it's the same stuff. You want to put tons of money into great cameras and sets. You can do that if you want to do it. My personal advice is this: know and understand that your strongest competition is the kid, the woman, the kid, the girl, the boy with their iPhone, right?
Mm-hmm.
Talking to people, putting out a message, setting up lights in their room, whatever the case may be. I think that that's a beautiful and good thing. I think unsustainable systems break down, and they push, but I think it's going to come down, which is fantastic because this it's gross.
Yes,
you know what I mean. We're having a get together of people who are interested in ascension, spirituality, disclosure, real history, just getting rid of the illusions, exposing the truth. Oh, that'll be $35 at the door, and we've got a wonderful package deal where you can, it's like I'll never forget it when I saw one contact in the desert where they were saying that you bought your ticket, but in addition to buying the ticket that could get you into all the little things, there was a VIP package where you could actually have dinner or lunch with the George Tsoukalos. And I said to myself, why the fuck would you want to talk to that guy? Not because why the F would you want to talk to him? He's a human being, a child of God. You'd want to talk to him as much as you want to talk to anybody else, but he's the hair. I mean, this is what we're talking about. And face it, when you pay to have lunch with that guy, you're paying to have lunch so you can get your own picture with the meme guy, right? Say it on the count of three. And I guarantee, I've never met the dude in my life, but I guarantee you don't have to tell me for me to know that when he's gathered around with the woman and the guy, the husband and the wife at Contact the Desert or whatever, on the count of three, when they're about to snap the selfie, it's 1, 2, 3. Everybody say aliens. You know what I mean?
Yep. And in his head, the sound is cha-ching.
That's it. Have a cigar.
Exactly.
That's it. Money. You know what I mean?
Which one's George?
That's it. The George Norrie. Holy smokes. Yo, my God.
Exactly.
Talked on the phone with Daryl Anka. Holy moly. Ay. So, but
no, go ahead. Go ahead.
The great thing about unsustainable systems breaking down is that at the other end, you get something new. Something like the classic story about talking about the dinosaurs. Every single child who's ever seen any of those historical reenactments or documentaries about the dinosaurs, it always ends up the same way. And then something happened. We don't know if it was a meteor or an earthquake or a volcano, but then everything died away, leaving space for, and then the little mouse, the little mammal pops up out of the dinosaur skull, representing the next evolutionary change. Ain't it a beautiful thing? And ain't it a beautiful thing to be around to see it? But when we look at history, we understand it. But when you're actually living through the battleground, when you're living through the war, when you're living through the change, there's some people that can get hurt. One thing I want to say is beyond all that, when it comes back to Corey Goode, I think there's something here that people need to know and understand. I think there needs to be a truth told behind all this glitz and glamour of money and this and the presentation and those controversies. There's something here fundamentally that people have been dealing with, often have always dealt with through history, but our culture has been dealing with especially since the 1960s, and that is cults. It's the C word.
Yes.
Whether it's a big established organization like Scientology, or whether it's an ad hoc organization like the Sphere Being Alliance. people need to remember that one of the primary life lessons here is the following. Just like the van with the candy analogy. Mind your P's and Q's, watch your perimeter, because it starts slowly. It always starts slowly. Get involved. You're part of the solution. And pay very close attention to the words that people use. When I see David Wilcock's latest missives on Edge of Wonder, I pay very close attention to the words he uses. We're part of the change. You're part of the solution. This community, this community, this community. Be wary of those words, because a lot of those words are used with a hypnotic effect and for a specific agenda. Don't talk, Natasha. Respect the community. That's not my truth, but if it resonates with you as your truth, I can respect it, but know and understand. And before you know it, you're deep in it, doing things. Everyone's got a shadow. The dirty little
Right.
secret is we all want to say, I wouldn't be the one who would do this. I wouldn't be the one who does that. You talk to any cult survivor, they'll say, it started off that way, and then I was in the back room with 3 other guys kicking a guy on the floor because the master told me that it was important and that I was of service to this individual to break their karmic bond to their will and ego. So I don't know. And especially when it comes to things like East City Ranch, no offense, I've called this guy James Gillian. Listen to the way this guy talks. I talk to anyone who's gone there, it's always the same thing. You've got entities, you've got attachments, you've got lizard people around you.
Right.
But if you do what I tell you to do, whether it's a one-time transaction of a clearing or an etheric entity removal process, or if it's a long-term, why don't you come and move into said ranch, and I'll smile at you and talk to you like this as you're crying about this. And I say, no, give me more, give me more, give me more. Hey, it is what it is. And my assessment may be correct and my assessment may be wrong. And there are people that are going to stand up and say, hey, hold on. You do need to sit at the guru's feet. You do need to do this if you want this. You do need to be humble. You do need to learn this life lesson. Or some people tell you, no, you're an idiot. There are etheric entities. There are implants. This process works and whatever. The communication needs to happen, but people need to be wary. It's easy to be victimized, especially because I feel as though dirty little secret time. Seekers are seekers for a reason. And that's because the easy answers never appeal to them for a variety of reasons. There are plenty of people who live and die in the church of their birth. And there's other people for a variety of reasons who find themselves in various situations where their journey goes outward. There's a lot of people in this community, no offense, the difference between a targeted individual and the difference between a targeted individual and someone who's going through the defined definition of psychosis or paranoid schizophrenia are self-same and self-similar. Dude, you can see things. You can experience things. They may be there. They may not be there. But it gets scary when we live in a world where you can go online and instead of going to a mental health professional, people end up going to a targeted individual support group that doesn't say to them, let's deal with our feelings of being targeted individuals, but say, let's get together and try and solve this problem of being a targeted individual, right?
Absolutely. That kind of segues me. I want to try to wrangle you a little bit. And I'm on the one hand, I apologize for doing that. But on the other hand, when you're on my show, I get that opportunity to kind of pull on you a little bit. So please don't take offense to that.
Pull my little string and I'll do almost everything. I'm your puppet. Help me. Trust me. Handle me, baby.
So I want to bring this back around, and I want to make it very clear to the audience right now and the people in the chat room. I am not asking this question to be elementary or to go to a remedial point in this, but I'm asking you this question, CW, because I want to bring everyone's attention and focus back to this question, and I want to remind them of something. And I would like you to spell out, as you see it, what the actual damage is that someone like Corey Goode, David Wilcock, Emery Smith, people who are doing this kind of a scam, what kind of actual real damage are they doing to the community? Because in essence, that's what everyone is so passionate about. At least for me, that's my motivation. I'm pissed off because of the damage that they're doing to all of us collectively. What do
Right.
you think that damage is?
Well, you could start with the damage to the individual, like we just spoke. There's the small coterie of people that are going to be so called in and brought into the deep levels of this stuff, to the one-on-one interactions, to the group experiences, where they're going to have these cult-like symptoms or be subjected to these cult-like mind control techniques. There's that. When it gets to the wider community, the damage is there's a couple of things. It's like, if we're trying to find out the truth about a political conspiracy or a technological mystery. So if we look at QAnon and Donald Trump, right? Not to get
Mhm.
too political, but to see, you need to be able to go and participate in the world of politics, garbage in, garbage out. You need true data to make good assessments of the situation and to make good choices as to who you think is going to be the best person to, on a mundane level, really, to elect into a government position. There's also degrees to which you allow these things to define. And so here's a perfect example. Here's something that's really scary to me. Let's talk about David Wilcock and the Cabal arrests. One
Yes.
of the things that I love about living in the United States of America, as opposed to living in communist China or, some other, some other oppressive, regime, is the
Mhm.
notion of trial by jury. It's in the US Constitution. It's not in the US Constitution because they said, gee, maybe we should come up with a new concept and idea and just throw it in there and see if it works. No. For generations and generations, people were living under landed nobility who could do with you what thou wilt. Show up to Natasha Nyxx's house and say, Natasha, hey, I like you. I like you a lot. In fact, I like you so much, I'm going to do whatever I want to you. And this, that, and the other thing, or the court of the Star Chamber. You besmirched the reputation of the king. All I did was lose the competition at the joust. Have fun getting tortured, or the Inquisition, all these things. So people, knowing what had happened before, said we need to evolve, we need to change our system of government. And a process that began with the Magna Carta, led up to the American Revolution, the U.S. Constitution, and then influenced countless countries in Europe, leading to them having representative democracies with elections and these things. They all have trials by trial. Well, not some countries, but just specifically in America, there's a notion of the trial by jury in the public eye. Why? To prevent people from being, the U.S. Constitution doesn't empower the government, it hobbles the government. The U.S. Constitution
Correct.
say all the things that the country can do. Really, what the U.S. Constitution does is tell you all the things that they can't do.
It's
Okay?
establishing boundaries.
It's establishing boundaries and saying you can't just be summoned in the middle of the night and taken away because someone said you did the most horrible crime. And remember, they always accuse you of the most horrible crime. Why did you disappear them in the middle of the night? They were killing the children. They were child molesters. They were this, they were that, they were the other thing. Okay, so fantastic. So just let them be arrested. So when you go to David Wilcock and the QAnon community, you have a group of people who are going to tell you that because they're so patriotic, because they so believe in liberty and freedom and the preservation of the good, they're willing to allow this system or this process to be suggested to them that's anathema to the good. To have the notion that there's secret tribunals happening, or that people were going to not have the trial of jury by jury that's in the U.S. Constitution, but instead have some sort of ad hoc military tribunal, because we all know how great military tribunals are. Those loving cucks,
Right.
you know what I mean? Come on, that's where it gets really crazy, because then all of a sudden people are under the influence, and then they start saying things like, yeah, I hope this person dies, I hope that person dies. You have people that'll go online and say the most horrendous, horrible things. Why? Because there was a QAnon post, and not even a QAnon post, because someone interpreted the QAnon post, because it can't just be that you don't like Hillary Clinton for her politics. No, no, no. She's a child eater. She's got Kru disease because she's a cannibal. Her and Uma
Right.
Abed get together at pool halls, right, and eat the faces off babies. Alex Jones, there's a reason why he got deplatformed. the system is self-correcting, and the system has said to crazy, whoa, 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 you can't
Right.
fire in a movie theater, okay, unless there's a fire. And I think David Wilcock is going to realize something eventually. People are going to tap him on the shoulder, and thank God the community is changing, because now it's not just him being hoisted and put it up there above. It's the democratic people talking on Facebook, people participating in YouTube, and occasionally one saying, hey, 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 let's play this out. This is cuckoo crazy, this notion. This is crazy. And it's gotten silly. And then, you know what? This is 2018. The most common story that I hear about people talking about politics and Facebook, it's always the same old story. I don't talk to my uncle anymore. I can no longer talk to this
Right.
good friend because of what they were, what they started saying. And when you look at what people start saying, you say, there's something that happened. There's a general loss of decorum. It can't just be that you have a difference of opinion as to the proper economic model to implement for success for the entire nation, or whether or not you're going to have free lunches, or whether you're going to ask for a stipend, or whether you're going to allow this system of education or satellite schools or whatever. It's no longer that, or you believe in taxing, I believe in taxing at this level, you believe in taxing at that level. The skew has become, you are defective in some way. You're a crazy person. You're going to destroy society. And then the other people turn to you like, you must be mentally damaged to think this way. You must be a deplorable. And either way you go to, it's the dehumanization of the other. And it's playing
Right.
out community in spades. Absolutely. And it's just, that's really the damage. Hey, Natasha, let's not forget, though it might just seem, and this goes to, I think, two things we need to pull off what I'm going to say. Scale of the problem in reality versus perceived scale of the problem, and the actual personal tragedies that can occur. The dude that went into Pizzagate with the rifle, thank God, the gun was discharged, no one died. That was a dangerous situation. The
Yes.
guy who tried to stop traffic on the Hoover Dam, thank God no one was hurt, seriously. That could have gone a lot of different ways. We have an instance that would just happen in history that not a lot of people are talking about. There was a brother who killed another brother, a person who got plugged into QAnon, got plugged into a lot of this information, who killed his sibling, obviously because he had a mental disease, the person who did the killing, but because he thought his brother was a reptilian.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
That's stuff, though it might seem isolated, that's stuff that in today's day and age, where more and more people find themselves in more and more increased isolated silos of information bubbles, that we really need to be aware of, you know?
Yeah. And, something struck me while you were talking, and not that I've got a big thing for Alex Jones, but has anyone drawn any correlation between Alex Jones's delivery style and the delivery style of Hitler? And I know that might sound like a tremendous fucking comparison, but has anyone looked at these the similarities between Alex Jones's delivery of his content and Adolf Hitler? Because that same kind of rousing, fiery, fucking testosterone driven kind of fervor, that kind of blind fervor, Alex Jones does have that. He does have an ability to call that up from within himself. It is a talent and an energy in and of itself, and he can pull that up and put that out. And I think it's very similar. And like you said, you take someone who has deficit, mental illness or otherwise, and you start hammering these kinds of messages away at them, and of course the radio is talking to them, of course the internet is talking to them, and people have figured out a way to do a lot more damage to more people these days than what it used to be 50 years ago. That's just the reality. So so your point is well taken, and I want to shift a little bit more. Do you think, and I'm not saying this to scare you, Kelly, I'm not saying this for that reason at all, do you think Kelly Farmer is in any kind of danger, whether it be physical or like a doxing kind of a danger, or some kind of harassment? Do you think that that Kelly Farmer needs to look over her shoulder for a while because of this?
I think that Kelly can expect that she may very well experience what me and Joe from the Carolinas experienced. Um, and that's kind of what her greatest fear was, that kept her, not to speak for her, put words in her mouth, or to, to represent her in any way. But
No.
what I would say to her is the following. You know what? Joe from the Carolinas got doxxed. He's a good man. He does good work. And guess what? His employer closed ranks around him, and he was protected. And everyone came out saying, good for you, Joe. We stand with you. And everyone who came against him was identified, and there's no sympathy. When it comes to me, I'm telling you, all your information could get out there anyway. Natasha, if I want to find out where you live, if I got 25, 35 bucks and the right private eye, or just the right website, or the right research credentials, if I want to get an address, I could probably get an address. If I want the bank where you have your mortgage, I could probably have the bank where you have your mortgage, your telephone number. There's all sorts. This is a very common intimidation technique. Now with Google Earth, I find out where you live. I get to Google Earth. I get that thing. I send you that picture. Go, we know where you are. But the guy that's telling you he knows where you are is a keyboard jockey. He's a jerk. He's a powerless person who's doing negative, nasty things on the internet. Do bad things happen? Yeah. But I think you're much more likely to be the victim of random street crime than you are to really have to need or worry or fear about these things. Look,
Right.
I mean, when it comes to the SBA specifically, I want to put a lot of things in perspective. The
Yes.
power that they had was an artificial power that was generally given to them because of the size of the platform that they were on. When the system first started to decay around Corey Goode, I said in a not so nice way, but in a true way, your dad ain't here to protect you anymore. Now you're at the same street level as we all are. I'm going to smack you around a lot more. You're going to feel the things I say on the internet a lot more than you could when you were sitting up there going at Conscious Life Expo or this place, going talking to a crowd of, as you're handing out these silly little jokes. Here's a cute little guy, reptilian guy. You're not going to do that now that you don't have those people push behind you. The minute the money from Gaia and the push from David Wilcock disappeared, all of a sudden, where's Corey Goode booked? And they can put out a little missive, and we're going to start a campaign to get him on these things, or we're going to say, why is he being deplatformed or whatever? You can drum that up, and then all 90% of the people that are in the know at those communities will say, we'll tell you exactly why he's not being here, because we don't want to hear this crap anymore. We've had enough of this.
Do you think we're ever going to see Wilcock denounce Goode outright publicly?
That's tough to call, because I think that probably has more to do with the psychological. David Wilcock, I think at this point, the great thing about this community is this: you get involved, and when you first start to get involved, it feels as though, because it comes to you on the internet, and the internet is a TV screen essentially, these people look like TV stars. It feels like there's that sort of distance. But I was amazed within the first month of me starting my channel. This within your first day of kind of you starting to go into the first thing to try and start bringing things around to start getting Mysterious Forces live, you must have nailed like 5 of the 10 top interviews, and you're walking around with a recording device and a little thing. Within the first month of me doing my YouTube channel, I had already had an email exchange with Bill Ryan from Project Avalon. Okay. Within a couple of months, I already knew that David Wilcock absolutely knew who I was. Within a year, and especially within 2 years, I knew that 90% of the people that were going on Coast to Coast AM or Fade to Black knew that they knew who I was. If you want to get involved, you can get involved. You go from being Jordan Sather visiting the little thing to being right on stage. That's how fast it goes, because that's how small this community is. But word to the wise: don't quit your day job. because the reason it's that easy to get that involved is because despite everything, the world's waking up to disclosure. You think that because you're into disclosure. And when you wake up, you read books about disclosure and you go and you participate in Facebook groups that are about disclosure. And then this happens. Look at this To the Stars Academy. If the world was waking up to
Right.
disclosure, we wouldn't be talking about the To the Stars Academy kind of coming out like a fart and being kind of, who talks about it? It was one New York Times article. How many articles has there been about mysterious lights in the skies or things? Every once in a while, the Phoenix Lights happen, and there'll be a documentary film, and a whole bunch of people are going to watch it on Netflix. And you know what? Then nothing's going to happen. So far, so good. It is what it is. Not to be a total skeptic, but it is what it is. But when it comes to Wilcock, he has a particular psychological perspective that I think I can evaluate, having spent years and years and years of looking at this guy. At every opportunity when he can say to people, look, hey, the thing I was predicting, I think we have to admit I was wrong. He doesn't. He doubles down. Point now, the last thing I did on real thing that I've been doing on David Wilcock was talking about, he had this one thing where he was talking about these prison barges. And that's like not even QAnon. That's like ancillary to QAnon. It's the silliest rumor in the world. Really, right. It's childish. There's babies in aspartame. This is just crazy mixed up stuff, right? And instead of coming out and saying I made a mistake here, he doubles down. He just is. That seems to be the way that he's wired. Unfortunately,
so are these guys? No, go ahead.
Oh yeah, and as far as him denouncing Corey Goode, I don't think he will, because to denounce, unless it gets really hot. Here's the thing: eventually, look, we've seen Jimmy Church. Now listen. Now here's the thing. I gotta stay
into that. Don't put the cart before the horse. We're about to go there.
Okay, we're about to go. So let's stay on David for. I guess we'll stay on David for a second. Dude, it's the same. You have the same problem. If he denounces Corey Goode, it's because to save his own ass, to save his own reputation, he feels that the heat around Corey Goode has gotten so great that he has to. What do we know about David Wilcock? That's not what he really wants to do. He's not really into saying, I'm sorry and I was wrong. He's more into creating another level of obfuscation. I mean, the last thing he said on one of his latest videos before he did it, the last one that he did specifically on Cosmic
Disclosure or
whatever website that he's got. The last YouTube video that he did on that, he was saying, what did he say at the end? Oh, he goes, this is too important to worry about who's telling the truth, battling about who's telling the truth or who's not telling the truth in this community. At which point I wanted to say, hold on. That doesn't make any sense. That wouldn't make sense to a third grader. But that's that's why they say he uses NLP. What's the NLP of David Wilcock? The community is more important, and we're involved in this. We got to keep eyes forward. And if I want to say, David Wilcock, explain to me this, and this, he's going to say, you're trying to create noise. That's an ancillary discussion. That's a bad thing, or you're a hater. I'm not going to debate you because you're a hater, dude. Welcome to planet Earth. You're going to eventually have to reach the haters anyway. But David Wilcock is strange. He's a weird guy. I don't think he's crazy, but you're talking to a guy when they asked him where he would be post-disclosure, said, if I'm lying, I'm dying. I think I'm going to be like a rock star. I'm going to be walking around with a bulletproof vest with a security detail because I'm going to be, essentially, he's going to be vindicated and famous. And I want to say the whole point of Disclosure and Ascension was that we weren't going to be playing these fame and rock star games, right? No one would be. You don't need a bulletproof vest in 5D, Natasha. I haven't been there, but I read the brochure, right? I know enough about 5D to know that you try and put the bulletproof vest on, and it's either going to bring you down to 3D, or you're just going to see it kind of magically float away from you, right? In the post-disclosure world, and the other thing I want to tell these people is the following. I said, even if disclosure happens, I'm kind of a skeptic. Am I skeptical about life throughout the universe? No. I believe there's probably tons of civilizations. Do I believe that they interact with each other on a regular level? That's where my skepticism comes in, though I try not to negate anybody else's personal experience, and I remain open-minded, and I tell people, dude, if someone came to CW Chanter and said, you've got a choice, you press the green button, reality is the way you expect it, and there's no Serbian alliance, and there's no blue avians, or you press the red button, and those things exist. Try to keep me away from that red button. I've seen Star Wars. I want to chill in that bar.
Right.
You know?
No.
Blue avian,
Yeah.
I want to party with you. Grays, you know what I mean? I got no problem with Zeta Reticuli. Take me to your dealer. You know what I mean? Put me in the spaceship. Take me away from this. Calgon, take me away. Calgon is a name that I channel from time to time, and his catch line is Calgon, I'll take you away. Yeah, it's the reason they made those commercials, Natasha, is, of course, predictive programming. He went back in the time and he made those commercials so that we would recognize him on the heart level.
Exactly.
Calgon, take me away. It makes perfect sense. Yes, I know.
We'll be so do you think
Calgon,
take me away? Shake and bake, and I helped.
There you go.
I'm an endless fount of useless information like that. So do you think that Corey Goode is going to fade out and slink away into the shadows like Worm Tongue? Or do you think he's going to go out with a boom and a bang and he's going to try to trash as much shit in the room before he goes out the door? Which do you see?
Be able to. Here's the thing. He's one dude. Have you ever seen that expose? My friend Brandon Young did a great expose on him talking about this. That came to light a while ago was this restraining order against his former employers. Dude, this guy is one of these weirdos that you meet in your town who says these crazy stories. We just live in a mysterious, effed up world where there's this special little community where those God bless them, what I call living art. When I think about the stories of Corey Goode or Alex Collier or Jay Essex or any of these guys, I call them living art. The Rainbow Lasagna Lady, that's a work of living art. When I tune into that YouTube channel, I'm watching art in motion. Someone who, without any sense of irony, is really being like that. And just like a John Waters film that's dirty at the edges or with these mixed up characters, this messed up is beautiful in its own way until it gets a little bit dangerous. Natasha, I swear to everything that is holy, you were talking to the closest thing that this community actually has to a fortune teller in Nostradamus. When everyone was going cryptocurrency crazy, CW Chanter said, dude, there's no there there. This is crazy town. This is gonna end up just like the global currency reset. This is gonna shit the bed. And what happened? It did.
Right.
And when it came to Corey Goode and David Wilcock, I said, they're gonna have to go QAnon because the conspiracy, that's where the oxygen is in the room. QAnon has taken all the oxygen out of the aliens and disclosure and turned it into this stuff. They're gonna have to go QAnon, and QAnon is specifically, no offense, it's look at the praying medic. Look at Mark Taylor. It's an evangelical community. I said they're going to have to, and what happened? David Wilcock, in his resignation letter to Gaia, specifically said, I worship the Christian God, who's the authentic God. And I said, Corey Goode met his wife in Bible college. Okay? The biographical details are there. Natasha, I've been following Corey Goode so far long, I can tell you the following. He at one point had a couple of YouTube channels, one of which was a personal YouTube channel that eventually got transformed into Corey Goode Vlog. When I first came on the scene and checked out Corey Goode's personal YouTube channel, there were a couple of things to note. Number one, the image was him. He clearly at one point took the oath and is a Freemason because he's doing the hand in the coat thing. It must have at some point been a Freemason in Texas. God bless him. I've got no problem with Freemasons. I don't really believe in that controversy. He had personal videos up of his family, his little kid. We all remember the little son, dancing around with the vacuum cleaner. At one point, there was in his liked. He didn't even know enough to put his likes to secret, because if you went to his liked videos, one of the first videos that were there of 3 was a video called "How to Disappear" or how to disappear on the grid, like how to leave the grid, and it was all about going away. One day I tuned into that personal YouTube channel, and he had replaced all the videos with like it's not Sid Roth, it's Superstitious. There was another preacher, but he had changed it to like a Christian thing, and all the videos were taken down, and it was just like he was trying to erase history into the Wayback Machine, you know?
Right.
Natasha, he's going to burn himself in this community, and he's going to go back to Bible college. That is a great level for him to play at, and he's going to play out all his narcissistic fantasies in that small, limited environment of the clapboard church or the storefront church. If he doesn't play his cards right, he's going to get busted with his hands in the cookie jar or busted with his hands in the chaplain's wife's underwear. And then he's going to have to go to another town. But if he minds his P's and Q's, he's going to be like countless people before him. Pass the bucket around, pay off the lease on the car, pay off the rental unit or whatever your family is leaving. And if you do it correctly, that's an okay life for a lot of people to live. No, I don't think he's got what it takes to play at the Joel Osteen level. Corey Goode is a bit of he's got a dude. You know what I mean? He's not a dynamic person who lights up the room with energy.
Right.
You can project energy onto him. He can tell you fantastic things that you want to hear, but it is what it is. I'll stake my claim on it. He's going to disappear, and he's going to go back to evangelical Christianity because that's an easy world that him and his wife know very well. Okay?
I like it. That's awesome. I like such a solid prediction. I totally dig what you're saying, and I have to be in agreement. And before we shift gears a little bit more, I want to throw this in earlier, but let the conversation flow. I had a little bit of a private conversation with Kelly Farmer, and I told her that I thought that her greatest protection is in going public. And now that she's out and everyone knows who she is and who's behind this and what's going on, I personally want to damn, I just had like aphasia where I can't remember the word. I want to suggest, encourage is the word I was looking for. Damn, that very rarely happens to me. Anyway, I want to encourage the viewers and the community, the people whose heads are in the right place, rally around Kelly Farmer, let's protect her with our love and attention and make sure that nothing, even if it's just doxing or something stupid, trying to say anything nefarious. I don't think a hit squad's being sent to Kelly Farmer's house. I don't think that's what we're doing. But I think we should rally around her, and I think that we should protect her with our attention to make sure that nothing stupid happens to her.
Listen, I'm going to tell you exactly how the Kelly Farmer dox is going to work. I said this to her, and I'll say this to you. And you're talking about rock solid predictions. Here's my prediction: the dox is going to happen. Here's what's going to be revealed by Kelly about Kelly Farmer. At one point, when she went to college, one night she got caught with an open can of beer. When confronted by the campus police, she dumped it and cried. She had a panic attack. They had to take her to the nurse's station. She relaxed. They brought her home. Her parents were very, very upset. There was talk of her having to leave school, but instead it was decided she had to be home into the dorm rooms by 8 o'clock and check in with her mom. And that's going to be the Kelly Farmer dox. Call me crazy. I like Kelly Farmer. She's got a great vibe about her.
No,
but for some reason, I imagine me and her hanging out alone and her somehow being the voice of reason. Do you know what I mean? No matter how crazy things got at the Rainbow Bar and Grill, I'm sure at the end of the night she blew a hard 0.3. Woo!
Right.
Whoa, Kelly, slow down there.
What happens at the rainbow stays at the rainbow.
What?
I said, what happens at the rainbow stays at the rainbow.
There you go. You know what I mean? I guarantee she walked out with a crazy story, an ATM receipt that she collated, put it into her documents, scanned, right, for her accountant. You know what I mean? I guarantee her Quicken books are like pristine. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And this is a perfect segue for the topic of Jimmy Church. And I am going to tell you, 2 days ago when I went in and Jimmy Pearson.
I mentioned to you that I just want to interrupt right now. When it comes to the topic of Jimmy Church, I just want to say I love Jimmy Church. Not only is this a stalwart individual who, damn you, David Wilcock and Corey Goode, the biggest crime you did is you besmirched the name of Jimmy Church. Jimmy Church,
that's right,
in this community. He's a stand-up dude. I've never said anything bad about him, and the only things I ever said, listen, everyone knows that I've said things about him in the past, and I just want to say, for the record, now that he's shouted me out on Twitter, that everything I said about him before was a ruse. I had to get close to Corey Goode. If people knew that I liked Jimmy Church, and I know the fact, hey man, I'm Jimmy Church, and the only reason I stayed close to David Wilcock and Corey Goode is I knew someone had to keep an eye on the store. Yeah. Secret agent.
That's
not only is he a handsome
absolutely
individual who clearly goes to the gym all the time. Fucking around. That's the joke. It's because it's like, you know me. You know,
right.
I hate you. I hate Jimmy Church. I hate that guy. Oh, he's gonna invite you. He's chatted you out on Twitter. Jimmy Church? Awesome.
Well, we'll use the Gene Simmons line. He's an attractive and powerful man.
There you go.
Anyway, I about shit when I saw in the Jimmy page, the Fade to Black fan group on Facebook, that Rita herself, Jimmy's wife, had posted your video. And, there was some other commentary in there, like, am I really seeing Rita post a CW Chanter video in the Jimmy Church fan forum? And at first I was like, wow, that kind of spun my head. I'm like, where's this going? I talked to Rita quite a bit in LA when we went to the party, and I got to know her a little bit. We're acquainted. And I'm going to say again, not so much to follow in your footsteps. I was going to say this anyway, but I've said 3 or 4 times on this show, and I do not retract it. I like Jimmy Church personally. I like him as a person. He's given me good advice. He's been helpful to me, and he's been very gracious with me. And he's also been pretty tolerant, because I got on the microphone at his party and said some shit. And I got to be honest with you, I was drinking and I don't even remember what I said. People were like, oh yeah, you were talking on the mic. And I was like, I don't even know what the hell I said. It was just something stupid.
When you get doxxed, that'll be the exhibit A.
Jesus, let me tell you something. Corey Goode. I'll look straight into the camera. Corey, David, if you want to dox me, go the fuck ahead, because it'll be a wonderful book. You're just going to increase my subscribers. You're going to increase my likes, and you're going to increase my fan base if you tell them what kind of shit I've actually done. And you don't even know the tip of the fucking iceberg. So if you want to dox me, fuck you. But that being said, I like Jimmy Church. I think he's an incredibly professional broadcaster. He's got a sexy ass voice, and he does well. He is a true professional. I like Jimmy Church. And I have said before, just like what you said, but I want to say this, the only problem I've ever had with Jimmy Church was with his association of Wilcox, Goode, and Emery Smith. Yeah. And I just found those guys kind of repulsive. And I couldn't quite understand why this guy that I admire was so tolerant of these guys. And I know that he kind of shoots down the middle and tries to kind of remain neutral. Excuse me. And I was talking to my partner the other day, and I used the analogy. I said, look, Coca-Cola is a soda company, right? Guess what? Coca-Cola is served at the Republican National Convention, and Coca-Cola is sold at the Democratic National Convention.
Right.
And Coca-Cola doesn't want to get too chummy with the left or the right. They want to sell Coke to everybody, right? So they have a vested interest in kind of just trying to be Coke and kind of take the high road and stay above all that shit. And I'm telling you right now, as a professional broadcaster, that's exactly what Jimmy is doing. He's doing his job, and he is doing what, in my opinion, is necessary for him to perhaps inherit the mantle of Coast to Coast AM when George Norrie retires. Not that I've ever heard that rumor. Anyway, so I think that's Jimmy's take. I think Jimmy tries to kind of play neutral like Switzerland. He wants to be a professional broadcaster. He told me personally, look, people want to know what the opinions are of your guests, but they don't want to know what your opinion is. And I disagree with that a little bit. I think people like yourself and me, I think that's part of the attraction of this YouTube thing, is that people, at least if we're an engaging enough personality, they also want our take on it. They also want our opinion. And that's where we're different from the news. We get to actually put some of our personal selves, our feelings and such, into our reporting or our stories. And we're able to kind of interact in a way that a professional news corporation would not allow, or traditionally not allow. And I think that's the beauty of the internet.
Yeah.
So that being said, that framework being said, I respect Jimmy. I like him personally. He is very cool. Now, how does this affect Jimmy Church? Because I'll tell you what, I almost about shit a brick when I saw Jimmy mention you in a tweet. And that was yesterday. And I was like, holy fucking shit, Jimmy Church just named CW, but he's got to go on to work. And that blew me away. And I'm telling you what, that is a tremendous shift in direction, because in terms of Jimmy's social media output, you've kind of been persona non grata in that. Like you were railing on the sidelines.
Sure.
And, you know, I name dropped you when I called in that one night. But you were kind of creeping in around the edges, but you weren't really in the mix.
Natasha, I'm telling you, you were the tipping point. You were the proverbial noses, the don't let the camel put his nose underneath the tent because he's coming right in. You were absolutely the tip of the spear. You were absolutely the avant-garde of dropping that. When you mentioned my name at that point and everyone heard it, there was a requirement on his part, and I think that sets us up nicely to talk. I want to talk about Jimmy Church. I alluded to it a little bit in my humor about him. I want to talk about him, and then I want to talk about me and him, and I'll explain to you why, because I think it really has to do with culpability, and I think it has to do with where we have to stand with our integrity and where we call things. Okay, I agree with everything you said about him as a professional radio broadcaster. Jimmy Church is not a sports broadcaster. He's not even a political broadcaster. He is talking to people about stuff that touches upon spirit, the nature of reality, okay? And without a doubt, if I'm going to be honest with him, I joke about it because you say my name and all of a sudden I'm over and then I want to be your best friend and the nicest guy in the world. Having said that, does Jimmy Church, and this is whether this helps me or hurts me in regards to Rita and Jimmy's estimation of me. And there's also something we need to talk about in the community of gatekeepers, whether the motivation is to just keep their own thing going or whatever. We have to be honest. I can BS here and I can kiss butt to try and get my agenda met, or I can be completely honest. At the end of the day, Jimmy Church will, and it's not going to be enough to say, like he did, that he found a lot of stuff there and he put the question to Corey Goode. We will have to say to Jimmy Church, yes, when the fit hit the shan, you did the right thing, right? When it became too big a deal to deny, you did the right thing. Having said that, Jimmy, I don't care how many doobies you smoked. Some of the stories that we heard about the interaction between Roger Ramsour, Corey Goode, those minions, the Sphere Being Alliance, the Stillness in the Storm blog were, don't tell me you didn't know that there was something happening. Don't tell me you didn't hear raised voices from Linda Moulton Howe and several other parties. Don't tell me your boy Richard Dolan. And then Richard Dolan has the same problem, because Richard Dolan, when it came to, remember when Richard Dolan was going to go on Jimmy Church's show and it was going to be, oh, snap. And everyone that whole day was acting like it was going to be the World Series, right? Everyone acting like Richard Dolan is going to come in there like Game of Thrones style, right? Ned never died. He's alive. And he's about to knock Joffrey, not for a loop, cut him in two, eat the body, take a dump, hit the crap out of that, you know what I mean, and declare himself champion. Thank God for our savior, the Messiah, Richard Dolan. Had enough BS. And I'm not going to take it anymore. And there's a new sheriff in town. You know what I mean? Dolomite.
Right.
Hashtag Dolomite. What I'm still trying to get off the ground. I don't know when no one
Will
else.
someone put that in the chat room? Hashtag Dolomite. Throw that up on Twitter, please.
But then what
Thank you.
happened? I was there for the live commentary. I was there in the live chat. We were all popping our popcorn,
I was
cracking
there, yeah.
up, ready for it to go crazy. And within 45 minutes, Jimmy Church, just like the football player who wants the AV club captain to teach him how to set up a webcam in the girl's bathroom or do his math homework, folded faster than Superman on laundry day. That guy went nowhere. The best is the live chat's going crazy. Richard Dolan's wife is trying to get Richard's attention. Richard's getting closer and closer to the camera. And I'm like, and I was literally saying that. I was like, punch him in the head.
Yeah.
And what say, well, he's my friend and, it's his show. So I'm not going to, if the story moves on, I'm not going to. And it's like, that's nice. That's all well and good. But at the end of the day, hey, listen, Richard Dolan has been calling out Corey Goode since Jump Street. Correct. But he's always done it. Before he was calling out Corey Goode, he was calling out Alfred Lemon Weber and that super freak, Douglas Dietrich, right?
Right. And
you're going to have to revisit this issue of Japan winning World War II. You know what I mean? That's back in the day. That, you know what I mean? That's how deep in the woods I go.
Right.
Church is going to have to come to terms with what he did. I think he's going to have to, because it's not as though we're talking about just financial ruination. Well, first of all, David Wilcock is I'm telling you, is going to be arrested one of these days. He's going to jail. He's committed everybody knows he's committed acts of fraud. If he wants to call his lawyers and sue me for libel, that's fine, because that means I get to take your deposition. A deposition is a public record. I'm taking your deposition. If you sue me, trust me, my financial situation and David Wilcock and Corey Goode, I'm representing myself. Natasha, that deposition, a deposition in every state of the union can take place over 2 days. People are allowed to sleep, get a glass of water, go to the bathroom, come back to the hot seat. I would love to depose David Wilcock, because that deposition testimony would immediately be sent to the IRS. That deposition testimony would be immediately sent to the FBI, because he has committed multiple acts of wire fraud. He has. The money that was generated for the Pete Peterson GoFundMe, notwithstanding, people forget, during that whole White Dragon controversy, untold people donated thousands and thousands of dollars to him and Benjamin Fulford, and Neil David Keenan, I think is the guy's name, who's now overseas and will not step foot in the United States of America, because he knows that if he does, he's going to get nabbed with this whole, remember the 2 Japanese guys that were caught at the border with all those documents of the White Dragon Society gold that was going to cause the global currency reset. Dude, David Wilcock has got liability out the wazoo. And I don't say that because I want that to be the case. I don't say that because I want to see David Wilcock in chains or in irons. I want to see David Wilcock happy and free. I want to see David Wilcock writing book after book after book after making CD after CD. I want him to be memed. I want him to make memes. I want him to have fun. I want him to have kids. I want him and his wife to have a lovely, 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 happy life. But I want to see him give the money back. And I certainly want to see him, understand that there's consequences to our actions.
I want to see him be accountable.
Yeah. That's really the bottom line. And so when it comes to Jimmy Church, but then when it comes to personal integrity, this is the thing. We're all going to have to, just like I said, I'm going to be completely forthright and honest. The minute that Jimmy Church tweeted me, tweeted out my thing. First of all, I'm like the world's greatest PR guy. The day that I'm hitting the big time is the day that I shut down my YouTube channel. And Mr. Kelly, this is Natasha. Here's the dirty little secret. It took me hours to take my 520 some odd videos and set them to private. The next day, first of all, looking like the world's biggest secret. The day that I turned them off, then I came back the next day saying, okay, I'm going to still be here, but there's going to be no live chat. As there was a live chat, because I swear to Jesus, Natasha, Google told me, the universe told me, CW, you're not turning off your live chat. I'd say that, but I guarantee it was I didn't go to the right edit page. But whatever. So I'm sitting there going, oh my God. So within days, everything's back to normal. They took me hours to shut everything down to private. It took me hours to set everything back to public. And then I had to put my Twitter back on, because right after I was like, I'm turning off social media. I shut down my Skype. I shut down Twitter. And then this whole thing with Kelly coming onto my channel happened. And I was like, oh, snap. How am I going to not look and see what's happening? I got to put back Twitter. Then all of a sudden people are like, half the people are like, welcome back. And then first of all, guys, like there's people in the live chat like Reemsy who've lived through three rounds of that's it. CW Chanter is out. And then it's hey, CW Chanter is back. You know what I mean? Just
right.
Toes. I wanted to give Kelly a little prod. I wanted to keep her on her, get her riled for the show. Anyway, I don't know. The point is this: is that then there was a question: is CW Chanter, now that I've spoken to Rita, now that is happened, what do you do? How close do you stay to your original message, or how close do you cave? And it's a question of integrity, because everyone wants to. Here's the deal: the CW Chanter channel, there were temptations to go and do exactly what everybody else does. There were plenty of people who told me that if I just turn it into Project Camelot, if I just turn it into Leak Project, if I just make it like Edge of Wonder, that would be the way to go. People love me. I've got a voice. I've got a dynamic personality. All you got to do is play ball. And I'm sitting going, but if everyone does that, that's how these things happen. Everybody does it. Everybody does the same thing. And then you end up with a vanilla environment. So if I want to be in my integrity, I have to say, Jimmy Church, do I want to be on Fade to Black? I covet being on Fade to Black. I covet being on Fade to Black. But there's a right way to do things and a wrong way to do things. And I can't do it by saying, Jimmy, you just get a pass because I talked to Rita and she's awesome. I like her accent and I think about her at night now. No, that's not going to work. That's not going to do anything. The only thing that works is to say, Jimmy, I'm going to be forthright and honest. I want to like you. I want to be on Fade. I would love that. But, dude, really? Donald Trump is the alliance president. There's going to be cabal arrests. The sphere being alliance. The story of Corey Goode, I've said over and over again, it's not even good fiction. No, Natasha, if we closed our eyes and banged our head against your crystal ball 10 times, we'll come up with a better story. I've had dreams that were better, right? There's some dude named Gonzalez. What's his first name? He doesn't have a first name. What's he look like? Kind of like a Bond criminal. Is he a good guy or a bad guy? He's here, he's there, he's everywhere. Oh, they contacted me again last night. Get the F out of here. The best was this, is that he did this Facebook post where it seems like even the community at large, where it was that he went out to Colorado and he was there were SVUs with set with a bulletproof armor, and he met the guy. Call me Bones. You mean like the Star Trek character? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Sure. The entire community heard that and was like, whatevers.
I just looked down. I hate to interrupt you. Reemsy, I just looked down at the chat room, which I shouldn't do. CW can do whatever he likes because he is so high up in the Illuminati.
Now, you know what? We joke, but listen, you have to say it because it's true, right? I have to tell you part of the truth. That's the Illuminati rules, right?
Right.
So absolutely, I'm high. And meanwhile, this is the crazy thing. There are going to be people that listen, what's Corey Goode going to try and say next? He's going to try CW Chanter's Dark Alliance. He's part of the cabal. He's part of the Illuminati.
You're a Satanist.
Listen, I'm a Satanist as much as I'm a Christian. I like everybody. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Is it Saturday night or Sunday morning? You know what I mean? Pick your masters. What side of the coin? You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Well, I'm also one of these guys, not to get into a theological debate. I'm one of these guys that is oftentimes when I return, I read holy text. That's part of my deal. I said it before on your channel. The whole purpose of my YouTube channel was not to dice it up with guys like Corey Goode and David Wilcock. My point was to talk about spirituality and religion, and my religion of Commonwealth chanting. And so as one of my religious practices is I read a spiritual text every day. So I often go to the Bible. I often go to the Old and New Testament. And there have been plenty of times where I thought to myself that the dirty little secret was the guy that they were saying was the good guy was the bad guy, and the guy that they were saying was the bad guy was the good guy, right? What did the devil do? Have some knowledge. What did God do? You didn't say my name right. You didn't worship me right. So everybody, I'm taking my marbles and going home. Everybody, flood it out. Flood it out. What about the baby
Absolutely.
kangaroos? Fuck them. You know what I mean? Screw it. Start all
No. I'm glancing through the chat room. It's too much. I'm gonna be honest with you. There's 88 people in there, and it's too much for me to read, and I have to stay focused on you, so I can't. I was kind of just looking to see at a glance if I could extract an important question. And as you know, there's almost like a whole separate world of conversation that happens in the live chat, and then there is the conversation that's going on, which I think is cool. I dig it, and I like seeing 88 people in my chat room. So I love you all. Thanks for being here.
You deserve it, and I'm very happy because if anything, if you know what, the great thing is this is that there's silver linings and miracles all over the place. There's silver linings and miracles all over the place. And all that stuff that happened with me and Uni and all that controversy and all that fight, when there was X number of people in my video and I said, well, there goes this thing. So if there's X number of people here, there should be X amount of people over there. So as far as I'm concerned, you ask anybody. The thing that gives me the most joy, though I often kvetch and complain when people start getting bigger than me, is I love to try and spread the love and get more people involved. More people involved, not less people involved. If Corey Goode is saying that the Blue Avians won't talk to channelers, I'm telling you, everyone can get a YouTube channel. Start a YouTube channel. I tell everybody, why not? It's so much more fun than other forms of social media. Get out there. Tell people what you think. Tell people what you feel. 10 views, 12 views, whatever views. The point is that people having real life interaction. And you feel like a TV star. And you look like a TV star too, if you're Natasha. Here I'm like a schnook in my 1993 Seattle flannel vest. Natasha, we're getting the band back together, yo. Right?
I'm getting the van and we're gonna hit the road. We're gonna make an EP. So you went for a while on your show tonight, and I'm not gonna try to just keep dragging you through this. We're coming up on 2 hours here, and I greatly appreciate your time. And I know that it's a Sunday night as well. And so we'll start the wrapping up process. And what I would like to do is open the floor to you.
Right. Just letting you know, Natasha, I love you. I believe in mysterious forces, and I especially believe in mysterious forces live. I could be here for 5 hours. I'll be here for 6. If it gets you another 10 subscribers or another 15 viewers, Natasha, I'll get naked.
I appreciate it. Hey, we could split the pay-per-view. We should do it on yours because you can get the super chat money.
She's going to sell it. She's going to spin it like Unirock, but she just wants it on my channel because she doesn't want to get.
Oh no, I would. Oh no, if we could do it on this channel, I would love it. I'm a wild child. You have no idea.
That sounds like a challenge. You know what I mean?
It does. Da, 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 da,
da. Oh, so, there you go.
You saw it here first.
You just take off the tops and I'll take off the bottom. So you will split the difference.
That works.
We'll do cartwheels to give everyone an aneurysm trying to pause at the right moment.
Right. Ready?
And there you go.
So I would like to open up the floor and just open up the show to you. And what can we say to kind of bookend this? What can we say about what has happened over the last 72 hours? Kelly Farmer, Corey Goode, Joy, all those people, kind of Corey Goode's inner circle kind of getting sucked into this because they're really fucking stupid for one thing, for the way that they pass on information. But so that's just some sloppy criminal bullshit right there. What can we say at this point? Where are we at? Was making predictions of what we're going to see next the place to kind of put this down, or what else can you say about this that has some immediate relevance?
The immediate relevance, I think, is the following: is what we're going to see is we're entering a crucial phase. There's two different things that can happen. I've made my prediction as to things going right for people. people going back to their normal lives, people going back to, in the case of Corey Goode, I made the prediction he's going to go back to being, he can be a very, I'm sure that Corey Goode can be a very competent pastor. I'm worried and nervous about whether or not he'll be able to stick to it and take lessons away from this. I'll be quite frank, based on the behavior that we've seen him do, I'm worried that whatever community he goes to, he might end up hurting that community, damaging people. He might not, he might be, something might have to happen. Cornered animals are very dangerous things.
Yes. Desperate people do desperate things.
People do desperate things. And so there have been speculations and thoughts about whether or not this is all going to go really, really bad. At the end of the day, I think that self-preservation is going to frame things correctly. I think the same sort of self-preservation that has kept Corey Goode being able to create new narratives to explain the non-happenings around him will continue. And a guy only need, this is the dirty little secret about cults. People talk about Scientology, people talk about Krishna consciousness, they talk about this, they talk about that. How many people, here's a great example of a real life cult. A pimp and a stable of prostitutes. That's a cult.
Absolutely.
That's absolutely a cult. How many people do you need giving you everything they have for you to sit there and do nothing and have that be a fantastic life? He has got 12 people in that small group. He needs but 5 or 6 to have a nice little thing going with YouTube revenue, whatever it turns out to be. So we don't really know, but I do have faith and confidence that his innate sense of self-preservation, and everybody's innate sense of self-preservation, will lead them through a combination of spin and getting away with it to move on to the next chapter of their lives. People have done it before. Like we talked about Alex Collier. We talked about Billy Meyer. We talked about Travis Walton. And if Corey Goode waits long enough, if he just waits 2, 3, 4 years, we have to know and understand that if he holds on to just a small coterie of people, people will be coming out to conferences. Do you know about the Corey Goode testimonials? You don't know about the Corey Goode materials? And it'll be there. At the end of the day, I think what's really going to happen is it has to do with like money and the availability of money. You know, as so goes Rome, so goes the world. The economic situation in America is a lot different in 2018 than it was prior to 2012. Who's got time and extra cash to spend on? It's a bourgeois endeavor to go to a conference like Conscious Life Expo. This is not something you do because you have to do it. This is something you do because you want to do it. And as things get rough, and I've called it before, you see a lot of these channels complaining. A lot of people that used to have tons of economic support are losing that economic support because the people that used to provide the truest economic support were the same class of people who, because of the thing that the housing market crashing in 2008, so their retirement funds go from $5 million to $6 million down to $1.5 million. You get a little tighter, and that changes everything. But I think eventually that's going to lead to the democratization that we've been talking about. When the money leaves the room, oh, it's too bad that C.W. Chanter is going to have to work for a living. But when everyone is involved in the scene where people still have to hold on to their, day jobs, the only people that will participate are the true people who are truly motivated to do it out of love. Really, that's the honest to God truth. That's the beauty. When you don't have to do it, you do it voluntarily. That's where it really gets interesting. I think that's where things are going to be beautiful, because we won't have to deal with people chancing their way into this community to try and make $1 and a cent or to make a quick buck. And that'll be a fine thing. That'll be a great thing. And remember, we're talking about, I want to say this, is that talk about the culpability of Gaia. Here's what we know. We know this. Okay? Someone at Gaia made a decision. They looked at the YouTube community and they said, this thing, this disclosure thing, these whistleblowers, let's try that. We've got yoga, we've got health food, we've got David Wilcock with his sacred geometry, whatever. Let's go and try and get into this ancient aliens thing, this disclosure thing. Let's do that. I think that's what happened. And it could have been anybody. It turned out to be Corey Goode. There were other people in the running. There were other people in the race. And the great thing is this, is that post Corey Goode came out Emery Smith, came out Jason Rice. Just like the pebble hits the water, the first impact and ripple is the largest, and then it slowly dissipates. Emery Smith made about 15% of the impact that Corey Goode did. And Jason Rice made no impact at all. Oh. What happened? I feel like I should riff. Mysterious Forces Live. Like, comment, and subscribe. If you haven't liked this video, take this opportunity. Oh,
am I back?
You're back at a totally different angle, and we see your whole.
My computer went. Oh no! Now look, the whole mystery.
You know what? Karma is a bitch. Karma is a bitch. We said Wizard of Oz, pay no attention to the man behind the screen. And
that's right.
We've got Morty.
Oh my god!
Oh sweet. Oh man.
Oh. Damn it. Damn it. Look at this. Everyone can see everything. Oh no, the whole illusion is blown. You can see my Natasha, man.
I'll tell you something. That sort of thing happened to me. Be a lot more I'm telling you something. My, you know what I mean? The way that I live my living room. This is my nightmare scenario. My nightmare scenario is always whenever I do share screen. When I found out when I tried to do share screen that I accidentally revealed Kelly Farmer's name.
Yeah,
I'm gonna make a confession to Kelly Farmer here. This is the honest to God truth. I thought to myself, oh my God, I can't believe that happened. That's such a shame. And then I thought to myself, thank Jesus it wasn't porn.
You know, yeah. I mean? No doubt.
There's nothing illegal about what I get up to at night, but there's definitely things that are interesting. Talk about Mysterious Forces Live. Yeah.
So here you see it, and all of it's. You know what? I can imagine how everyone's feeling because they're like that. The illusion is blown. They're like, that looks so cool, and then now they see this, and it's like, yeah.
Now here's
a bath towel.
There you go. Look at the cult priestess. The cult priestess says Kelly said the only reason she came forward was Chanter outed her. You know, everything happens for a reason, a cult priestess, and you should know that. And don't worry about Kelly Farmer and CW Chanter because apparently she thinks I'm okay. She thinks
absolutely,
I'm okay, dude. And it would have happened eventually. It was a process of elimination for certain people. It was going to be fine. I'm more interested in this. This is great, though. But you know what? Oh, we freezed again. Did we?
Oh, no, I'm adjusting.
Okay.
I am adjusting.
I'm adjusting too. But what's so great is I got my hat's off to you. My hat's off to you, sister, because the way that you framed the original shot, I would have sworn to God that you were living in the land of black velvet. Right?
Oh, I don't know what happened. I don't see myself anymore.
Talk about destroying the illusion.
No shit. Well, everyone got to look behind. Now I have no choice but to tear this shit down and install my green screen. I have a green screen and everything else to do this. I'm going to take it to another level, but I hadn't. And now everyone has seen the true shabby nature of my studio.
Natasha, at least wearing pants. That could have gone south a lot of different ways. You know what I mean?
That's true. That's true. Well, CW Chanter, thank you so much. And I'm going to crawl out of here embarrassed that everyone can see my studio.
She's got the purple balloon gray. She's got everything.
I do. And there's the happiness
at these conferences with the stupid inflatable purple gray alien. Come on. And you're like, yeah, totally.
This is the reality of show business right here. That is the reality of show business.
Like, comment, and subscribe to Mysterious Forces Live. Mysterious Forces Live. Now I gotta pay you back, girl. You've had me on twice. I gotta have you on my channel.
I would love to come on. Just let me know when. I will be happy to come on.
Well, you know, I'm great at scheduling. I'm so consistent. I'll be like, I'd love to have you on, but I'm shutting down the channel again.
No, it's cool. Thank you everyone for watching. Like, subscribe, share. 88, 89 people I saw at one point. That was fantastic. You have seen the shitty circumstances of my studio.
It's beautiful. I like this shot. I think this shot is cooler than the other one. To be totally, can I be totally honest? This shot's cooler.
Yeah. Well, it shows stuff. It's just
everything
my studio,
dude. I'm like a disclosure machine. I am disclosure itself. I'm becoming disclosure, right? I brought Kelly out. I brought Kelly out of her shell, and then here I am, like my magical powers. Natasha, may you be freed from the illusion.
No shit. Well, anyway, this is it. You'll never see this again. I promise. This will be the one and only time you're ever gonna fucking see this. Ugh.
Never. Anyway, got the towel. Oh my god.
I know. Well, thank you, CW, for being here.
There is the dildo. Sorry.
Oh my god.
The hand of Adonis, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Jelly right next to it. Oh man.
Big black fist. That's it. This is great. Well, thank you everyone for tuning in. I'm sure you're having a good laugh.
I actually worked in the porno bookstore that I know the hand of Adonis does one of these.
Oh, no, I know. I did too. I worked in a porn store and I had to do inventory and count dildos every day. And Jesus, I don't know where we're going with this. Anyway, thanks, CW. Thank you, everyone. And I hope you're having a good laugh at my expense on the reality of my studio. So anyway, arrivederci. Catch me next weekend. Catch CW's show and his channel. Catch you while you can. That's right. Are you going to come back on Twitter, or did you say fuck it?
I'm on Twitter. I'm already back.
You're back? Okay.
All right. I was back the next day like a guy. Had to see what people were talking about.
He's back on Twitter. So, like I said, this will never happen again. I'm going to pay no attention. Anyway, thanks, CW. Thank you, everyone. And I appreciate it. And please stay in touch. And if anything else develops in this situation, we'll work it out.
Somehow.
We'll talk about it.
Sure, we will.
Exactly. All right. Well, goodbye, everybody. Good night, CW. Thank you. Have a great week coming up. And I look forward to seeing more content from you. I watch your show all the time.
There you go. Oh, thank you. God bless you. God bless you. Love and light.
Good night. Goodbye, everybody.